Nick Candy, what a move. Truex on the outside, contact made. 56 slides it at 4. Who's going to be at the stripe? Dead even, give it to Ryan Truex. Truex is your winner over Tandy.
The penultimate round of the Champions of the Future World Touring Car Championship here, live on RaceSpotTV at Oulton Park in England. 3.6 kilometers, 2.2 miles, 12 turns to challenge the drivers, plenty of undulation, blind corners, and, well, we'll see driver skill exposed throughout the field. Johnny Simon here alongside Rachel Whiteford and Cam Walsh. Rachel, waiting for the race to start, and this track absolutely historic, and England race circuits have plenty of rich history.
They do indeed, and Oulton Park is probably one of the best ones, Johnny. This track is tight, it's twisty, lots of elevation changes, not a tilkodrome in sight. This is what a racetrack should be, and Oulton Park is certainly one of my favourites up there.
Certainly is. Waiting for the formation lap to begin for race 1. We know race 1, as usual, 20 minutes, the qualifying grid, that sprint towards determining the grid. For race 2, the 35-minute with the compulsory pit stop, reverse grid as well. And that makes things so much more interesting, Cam. We talked about how many Kia Optimas would be on their roof by the end of this broadcast. I'm pretty sure at a track like this, we'll have plenty of it.
Well, we'll see what they want to do, but ultimately it's going to be determining how these faster cars can get through the lap traffic, especially during the second race. This track is very tight and very twisty, and that pace car looks like he's going to be getting to run away, as I believe most cars are on the grid now, Johnny.
They are indeed, so we will go through the grid for you at the moment. Ashley Sutton on pole, alongside Sylvian Pomerado there in second position. The two of them, really strong drivers throughout this season. Michael Hall behind our championship leader, along with Ben Palmer, who had a pretty horrid round last time out in Monza, only scoring 22 points. And you'll certainly be hoping to capitalize on that today in fourth position. Russell Laidler and Steve Walker round out the third row of the grid. And then we have Stephen Burke and Robert Fagg on the fourth row. Ashley Blake Hood and Paul Smith round out our top 10, and the rest of your grid on the screen at the moment. The pace car's pulled away, Rachel. It's coming across the final few corners. Your pick for this race. We know how strong Ashley Sutton is.
Well, I've got to say Ashley Sutton, actually, Johnny. I think he's got the pace, he's got the aggression, he's been always a great finisher here, but can't count Michael Hall out. I think he could be a dark horse.
Waiting for the pace car to pull in as the drivers wrap around Lodge Corner. And then through Deer Leap, Ashley Sutton already getting away. The pace car hasn't pulled in. And now it goes green, so a pretty poor start. And I think Ashley Sutton might be caught out by teammate Michael Hall behind. Almost 4 wide into the first corner. I think that might be one of the Arseholes cars trying to pass in. Ashley Sutton spinning around. Tag, Michael Hall's tag. And I think we could have a bit of contact in the back. This is incredible stuff in the first parts of the race. But we focus on the lead for now. Ashley Sutton still leading away from Ben Palmer, Sylvian Pomerado in P3, Steve Walker in fourth. And already, Cam, lots of contact on the run down to turn 4.
Yeah, everybody getting away rather not cleanly through this first corner. Of course, this is a wide right tracking corner before you go down the hill. A couple of cars off the track, and then just massive conflict. Yes.
Machine of 21 there. That is Patrice Langlais. He gets loose on the side of the racetrack and tags the Arseholes car of Matthew Bunn. Big contact.
Let's stop.
We focus back on the lead, I think, at the moment, because Sylvian Pomerade trying to hound Ashley Sutton for P1. Ashley not pulled away in these early stages. I think Michael Hall is trying, he's back and forth. I thought he might have been lost a lot of time there from that hit. He's kept it together though. Sylvian Pomerade is actually in second. So that's Ben Palmer, in second. Sylvian Pomerade in third as we close to the end of the first lap. Ashley Sutton leads, still being hounded by Ben Palmer in the lead. Sylvian Pomerade behind Russell Laidler in fifth as well. And at the end of this first lap already, no drivers really pulled away from each other. Lots of battles here in the early stages, Rachel.
There are indeed. Things are getting very active right now, and it's, well, rather busy on the circuit. Everyone vying for positions. The Powermax cars towards the midfield there. Laura Bond and Alan Stevens side by side as they run down towards turn 2 here, Johnny. It's all kicking off.
It is indeed. Oh, big spin at the back. I think that's Michael Hall and Sylvian Pomerade dicing as well. So Michael Hall up the inside now, and they're going to be side by side on the run down to 5, 6, and 7. Oh, this is going to get very tight. Russell Laidler trying to pounce. No, he can't. So Michael Hall still settles in for P4 at the moment. This is incredible racing in these early stages. Lots of undulation around this track as well, which makes it difficult for the drivers, Cam, we talked about, as Ben Palmer actually and Ashley Sutton side by side. Will focus on this now towards the end of the lap. Ben Palmer on the left side, Ashley Sutton on the right, and as they go through, Ashley Sutton has the inside line and keeps it together for now.
He should, but Ben might be able to counter going on the inside into turn 1 when it comes up. They've got another couple of corners here. Now, for those familiar with Oulton Park, as Ashley Sutton tries to close off that first turn, doesn't work. Ben Palmer now up to the tip of the field as Ashley Sutton is now in second as they finish the second lap, starting onto the third. This is the island circuit here at Oulton Park. They don't go the full length, and plus there's also a chicane, so we'll see a lot of issues around that chicane as they go through this first corner, this deep right-hander. Right now, Sylvian Pomerade and Michael Hall still in second and third, as these guys are still all right up with each other. Ben Palmer, though, we'll see if he can't try and pull away here at Oulton Park.
Oh, the top 4 separated by less than a second. This is amazing as well. Sylvian Pomerade trying to have a look at the inside. Ooh. Oh, big tap. Russell Laidler taps Michael Hall, and I think Michael Hall still lives for another day. No Russell Laidler alongside him. So at least for Michael Hall, for his championship hopes, we know he is the leader. He's still in 5th position. It's damage. Well, he has to limit as much damage as he can. He just has to walk away with that championship, almost being tagged out of the race there. And we see the aggression, though. This is what's so nervous, Rachel. As a championship leader for Michael Hall, he has to stay out of trouble and finish these races with strong points.
Yeah, he does, and that's exactly it. You've got to take risks, but you've got to take them carefully, because as it stands, he just has to finish the races right now, and the points will come his way. But finishing is somewhat hard at the point of this spear.
Oh, Ashley Sutton, big mistake at the final corner. He keeps it together. Sylvian Pomerade almost taking him out as well. And again, this lap, so half a second the gap between those top 3 as well. I think Michael Hall's still in P5. We look at the battles of Robert Fagg right onto the back of Ashley Blake Hood. And as Robert Fagg trying to go for the undercut at turn 1, they're going to be side by side through the avenue. And then on towards Denton's and Cascades now. Robert Fagg on the outside, braking late, and he gets that position. So Robert Fagg up there into P7. Great passing maneuver, Cam. We know that playing overtakes to perfection is all up to playing it like a game of chess.
Well, that it is, and especially here at Oulton Park, not a lot of room to really squeeze that car into unless you really want to go after it, which I believe we've already seen quite a few times in these short 4 laps. But ultimately, everyone's just gumbling away quite nicely as that Ashley Blake Hood has been pulling away from Pete Newman, who's under attack from Robert Plunley. Look to maybe go inside as they go through the chicane, but everyone goes back to single file there as they all finish back. Get back on the main circuit there to finish, to start finishing yet another lap. Ben Palmer, though, pulling out quite a gap, though, I'd have to say, at least in these cars.
Yeah, Ben Palmer 0.4 of a second faster than Ashley Sutton last time around as they go under the Warwick Bridge and then on towards 15 or under 15 minutes remaining, 14 and a half now. So Ben Palmer, he still hasn't broken away. He's broken away slightly, as you mentioned, Cam, but Ashley Sutton still keeping it honest, keeping honest in these early stages. Look at that, only 0.3 behind this lap. So Ashley Sutton 0.3 faster that time around. And this is really important, Rachel, because we know Ashley's he's pretty much his championship hopes are done. He's missed too many rounds to win that, but his teammate Michael Hall needs him to help out there, as Ben Palmer, his championship rival, is certainly looking to steal that trophy away from Michael Hall.
Yeah, he is indeed, and of course Ashley had to miss a few rounds for real racing commitments in the Clio Cup, of course, so Ashley's no stranger to winning, which he's been doing there as well, but you're right, Ashley now has to play number 2 driver. He has to look out for the way for Michael Hall. If he can help him move traffic out of the way, make a hole for his CQR teammate, it benefits the team as a whole, and he's definitely a good team player, and expect to see him assist Hall with some points if he can get himself past Laidlow and Pomerad. And things can be mounted as a charge on Ben Palmer.
We'll see if this happens indeed. We have a spin near the back of the field. Keith Hamilton. Oh no, so Keith Hamilton spun. I believe that is at the chicane. Oh, sorry, on turn 4, the hairpin.
This is actually
That's
an
unfortunate
incident.
for him. Oh, wow. So, yeah.
Yeah, so going back before the chicane, this is actually a very lucky incident there between Keith Hamilton. Dan Blake almost got collected right in that as it looks like something went horribly, horribly wrong under braking. I believe Keith Hamilton's car touched the grass, and off he went.
Oh, the lead, Ashley Sutton, side by side with Ben Palmer, keeps it together. They're going to be side by side on the run down to 2 and 3. Ben Palmer trying to close the door, but they can't. And Ashley Sutton, I think, might have the inside line. He does, and he does take a great line through turns 2 and 3. And then on the run down to 4, Ben Palmer trying to tuck into the slipstream. Is he going to stick it around the outside, the inside? Ashley Sutton wants him to pick his line, and he's very unpredictable there. So great defending there, Rachel, from Ashley Sutton, not letting Ben Palmer decide when, or at least to go inside or out. He just stayed in the middle of the track, said, I'm going to defend wherever you want to go. And Ashley Sutton maintains the lead.
He does indeed, and of course, look at what this has done to the field, guys. He's backed this entire field up now, and your top 5, top 6 are back together again. Who does that advantage? Michael Hall. So, Ashley Sutton playing that team game right now. Hall is back in this fight. Well, it was pretty spread out. It's now been drawn back in. Pomerad is back in, a bit of fighting. Laidlow's right behind him. Hall is, well, tagging on the tail end of this lead group, and the action started.
Oh, look at this. This is incredible stuff. Sylvain Pomerad not giving up.
Ooh, 3
you know
wide.
how strong he's been. Oh, big battle at the back
Ashley
camp.
Blake Hood, yes. 802
Newman
there.
off.
Right. Yeah, there's a couple of offs there. That's somebody went 3 wide there and actually made 2 positions up, actually. Hold on a second. I believe that's Paul Smith. The number 33 car ducks over to the end there. No, that's not Paul Smith. Who is that?
Plumley, actually. Plumley was the car that took it 3 wide, and Smith followed him through.
Boy, yes, he did take it 3 wide. My goodness. Don't see that every day, but he managed to pull it off, and nobody ended up in a wall, so good job there on the move.
Incredible, tight, close section of the track. And so, yeah, I believe it was either Robert Plumley or Paul Smith. So that was incredible stuff. So, I mean, now Ashley Sutton leads away by 0.6 of a second. So while we're watching that battle throughout the field, Sutton's pulled away a bit of a gap to Ben Palmer. They're all within half a second of each other, those top 6. Robert Fagg, they're 1.5 seconds behind in 7th. So at the moment, though, Pete Newman's the closest guy behind someone, and that's behind Paul Smith in P9. Pete Newman trying to, well, maybe go up the inside. No, Paul Smith brakes late, carries lots of apex speed, and defends well. And now with 10 minutes remaining in this race, we know the reverse grid next time around, Rachel, after this. This is so important to finish high and score as much points as you can, and then use a different mentality for race 2.
Absolutely, of course. Well, drivers want points, so you never really want to give it up and start at the front in that second race. But yeah, the strategy in the pit stop will be a major factor. So you could be further back in the traffic on that first stint, but get a good pit strategy, get a good pit stop time, of course, and that can really put you in a good place to get big points at the end of the race. But well, you need to get everything you can. So I don't think many people will be falling back on purpose, of course. Right now, we are looking at Patrice Langlais, Alex Stowe, Stephen Burke, Maciek Svidovic. So yeah, these guys perhaps back here right now, and it's maybe indicative of the fact that they are a little bit on the slower side comparatively, but it happens.
Does. So now we wait for Sylvain Pomerad, who just had word that he almost collected Ben Palmer into Lodge Corner. Ashley Sutton running wide at the hairpin, and now I think Ben Palmer's going to be side by side on the run down to turn 5, 6 and 7. Sutton once again positioning his car in awkward positions, making Ben Palmer guess where he's going to go, and Ashley Sutton once again maintains the lead. This is incredible driving, good defending as well, and now Ben Palmer trying to get his lines right. Every driver, it's so important here, Cam, to get your lines right, because we see there Ashley Sutton's the guy who's doing that the best out of anyone in that top 6, and he's currently leading the race.
Yeah, he is. He's picking his defensive lines very well. Ben Palmer, though, that's the second time I've seen that car get an absolute nose in on the exit of that island turn at final turn after the long straight. So it's just a matter of time before Ben Palmer might be able to get his nose in that corner for this next set of corners, but it'll just come up to that. Ashley Sutton, I believe, is faster through the second sector here up until the next chicane, which sets you up for the final third sector there. So Ashley Sutton, though, keeping it nice and calm, cool here.
Oh, Ben Palmer running incredibly off the track. He definitely has might have a slowdown penalty. I don't think so. He continues as well. So incredible off-track moment there for Ben Palmer. Keeps it together, but that's allowed Sylvian Pomerade in third place to try and maybe make a passing maneuver into 4. Too far back at the moment. The top 4 still hasn't split away from each other. Sylvian Pomerade loses lots of apex speed, and Russell Laidler almost collects him. At the moment, though, Michael Hall's dropped a second behind this top 4. And, well, he is playing the conservative game for the championship.
Well, he is, and top 5 will certainly do it for him, but yeah, he just got a bit of a bad apex and he lost some time. Well, that's bringing him into the grips of Steve Walker behind and Rob Fagg, so that's not exactly as secure as he'd like. He needs to catch up to the back of Laidler and follow that arsehole's bulldozer through to the front.
He does. Is Ashley Sutton now still breaking away? Every time he breaks away, Ben Palmer's just attached a little toe wire, isn't it? I think. I'm not sure what you call it, Cam, but he's sticking there. They're not giving up. Oh, look at that, though, into the final corner, and that's what we talk about. Drivers taking different lines. Ben Palmer and Sylvian Pomerade carry so much more apex speed compared to the Ashley Sutton in P1. And it seems to be working well for Ashley in that sector.
Yeah, just this track is such a legendary track for its winding turns and elevation changes, but it's also the drivers really start showing through with their different driving styles. And even in a car like this where everything is quite similar, you know, these front-wheel drive cars, you can really start to see that as once again everyone goes through. Ben Palmer, he's making no mistake. He's trying to fill that mirror of Ashley Sutton up. But he ends up getting through. Everyone comes through here. Ashley Sutton just takes such a wide exit. I think that works out for him, though, for sure.
Yeah, Ashley Sutton. Oh, big contact. Paul Smith collecting Robert Plumley. And Robert Plumley's dropped some positions there into turn 4. And that's going to allow Pete Newman now side by side. So this is going to be into the 5, 6, 7 chicane. And Paul Smith. Big damage on the front of that car. And, oh, is this going to get too close? Oh, jeez. I'm not sure how they kept it together there, Cam, because Paul Smith, look at the damage on the front of that Kia, and Pete Newman now is actually, so Paul Smith's on the back foot, so Pete Newman around the outside now, he's going to have the inside line into turn 10 at Druid's Corner. They go up through the blind, tight section of the track, and I think, don't tell me Paul Smith's going to maintain that position around the outside, and he does exactly that. And well, is Pete Newman going to stick it up the inside into the final corner? When is this battle going to end? Paul Smith clips it together. He gets tagged behind though from Robert Plumley. So, oh, big contact there.
He's definitely, Plumley there is wanting to get his position back there in the rear end of Newman's car, ended up getting in the way. Plumley though going out on the inside here in turn 1. I wouldn't normally suggest doing that as they get super tight. Yes, they do. He runs them right off the track, but he'll keep it on the throttle, and that Newman will get back on track. They'll go too wide through this section. This seems to be quite an aggressive pecker as they touch yet again.
Oh, and I think that is that Ashley Blake Hood actually? So Ashley, yes. No, Robert Plumley's dropped behind. Yes, Ashley Blake Hood ahead of Robert Plumley now after he tagged with Pete Newman. Paul Smith still maintaining P8 from Pete Newman there in P9. So Paul Smith in that damaged vehicle, Rachel. We'll see if this plays to a detriment as Michael Hall's dropped positions, I think, or that might just be the timing screen playing up. But Michael Hall's down there in 6th position.
Yes, he is. Robert Fagg and Steve Walker have gotten past Hall, so Hall has certainly lost out here. Actually, no, Steve Walker's behind Hall, so bit of fun going on there. But yeah, that fight between Newman, Smith, Plumley and Blake Hood has been great to watch, although there'll be probably quite a frosty atmosphere in the Pete Newman Media Team Garage after this race, because those two cars have been leaning on each other very hard all race.
Just had word that Michael Hall lost that position at the final corner of the track where he's coming through now, so he just slowed down. He allowed those couple of drivers in front of him, so he's in P6 at the moment, 2.5 behind Robert Fagg in 5th. Robert Fagg making his way up through the field. This is a very good job from Robert, and he's come from, so Pomerade running wide. We'll focus on this for the moment. Russell Laidler right onto the back of him. And Russell Laidler now trying to stick it up the outside at the hairpin. He's going to have to carry so much more speed. Ashley Sutton in the lead, running wide again. And that's going to allow Ben Palmer to go side by side with him. Ben Palmer might actually take the lead this time around as cones are knocked back onto the circuit. Ben Palmer now up the inside. Ashley Sutton trying to get that move back. And no, he can't. Contact between the two leaders. Ashley Sutton spun across the grass as well. He's going to feed back onto the track right into the lead battle. And Ashley Sutton has to get out of the way, so he's going to drop down to P4. Oh, and I think he might even have a slowdown penalty. Ashley Sutton saving that, Rachel, and living for another day.
That was incredible drift antics there from Sutton. Well, big contact, of course. And wow, I just can't believe he saved that. Shows how good Sutton is, but impressive.
Oh, the battle's not over. So the battle is not over. Sylvian Pomerade trying to get the lead now from Ben Palmer. So Ashley Sutton's out of this battle. He's about 3.5 seconds behind with 3 minutes remaining in this race. Look at that. Sylvian trying to... Well, he's not tucking into the slipstream cam this early on in the lap, but he's still trying to get there into turn 1. Sylvian now has to push. He's been the bridesmaid for most of this race. Now he needs to go for the win. There's only 3 minutes remaining.
Yes, 3 minutes remaining. Should be about 2 laps coming through here as Sylvian Pomerade. I think he's just looking to get a better exit off of the second corner before the chicane where he can chuck it right down the inside. I don't believe that Pomerade's going to make any hidden ideals there as Ben Palmer is absolutely defending his quarter as it gives him a quite little bump there through the chicane there. It's not a chicane, it's a very tight hairpin there, but Sylvian Pomerade, after seeing what Ben Palmer could do defensively against Sutton, might take it a little easier and try and move that car out of the way with that front under that Kia.
As the leaders come through with 2 minutes remaining, we'll round out the grid for you. Ben Palmer in the lead away from Sylvian Pomerade. Russell Laidler in third, as well from Robert Fagg in fourth position. Ashley Sutton in fifth. Michael Hall in sixth as the top two still battling. Then we have Steve Walker, Pete Newman, Ashley Blake Hood, Robert Plumley in P10. No time to round out the rest of the top 10. Look at the top two once again into the final corner. Robert Fagg off the track as well. So yes, the top two though battling, and I think that's a bit of a love tap from Sylvian Pomerade, the Frenchman, trying to give it to Ben Palmer as they come towards the second to last lap of the race. Look at that. Ben Palmer already on the defensive lines. And Sylvian Pomerade, they're trying to get the undercut. Oh, he might have it. And they're going to be side by side, I think. He already goes for that inside line, having to brake as well. And that's going to allow Russell Laidler into the battle. Top three battling for the win here in race one. Russell Laidler sticking up the inside. And what a save from Sylvian Pomerade. He drops back down to P3. But there we go, Rachel. Incredible battling. And they almost lose it again.
I cannot believe this. This is the most amazing racing I've seen. These guys are dogfighting so hard, Johnny, and they are just... Yeah, there's love taps. It's touring cars, there is contact, but nobody's wrecking each other. There's bumpers, there's pushing, there's elbows out, and this is awesome racing. Laidler, he's pounced. He's taken a position now, and he's in P2. And that was... they've all been chancing it, and well, a little bit of a slide here and there. Pomerade's going to try and repair that favour very soon, I think.
Cam, we have news on Robert Fagg. He went off the track. I believe you have more information on that.
Yeah, it looks like he just either he got conked out or something to that effect, but he ended up losing that position. Now, Michael Hull was ahead of him now, and I believe Steve Walker also got ahead of him, so he drops down to 7th position, which might not be the worst thing in the world. With his second race is
contact, big contact, front right moves Laidler out of the way.
Oh, big contact. Yeah, so that's Sutton back through. This is incredible. Can Michael Hall even get back through on Russell Laidler? To Sylvian Pomerade trying to get up the inside. Michael Hall right onto the back. And yes, I think he might have the inside line. Russell Laidler running wide. And as we approach the final lap of the race, Ben Palmer leading by 1.7 seconds. Who would have thought at the end of the race the gap would be 1.7, Cam? As, oh, jeez, so Sylvian now into P2. Ashley Sutton in third. Michael Hall up to fourth. He played it safe this race, Cam. And I think at the moment, he's, as we have a DQ actually for Russell Laidler.
Yeah, one too many love taps right there for Russell Laidler as the stewards have black flagged him. He's out of this race on the final lap. Wow, that's just so unfortunate.
Well, he picked his battles with too many cars, I think, in the beginning there, and it just carried through throughout the race there. Ben Palmer, though, very defensive of his territory, which at the end of the day, it saves it because it backs up Pomerade where he had to be under attack and defensive against Laidler. Those two guys switched positions, and now Ben Palmer, after some quite cutthroat positioning with his car and maybe a couple of moves back and forth, he is now almost clear of Sylvian Pomerade and Ashley Sutton on this final lap.
Yep, so Ben Palmer rounding out the second to last corner. He had a terrible round at Monza. And ladies and gentlemen, if this is how you want to bounce back from a terrible round, this is how you do it with a win. Ben Palmer takes the win for race 1. Who would have thought Ben Palmer would have won this race? Could have been anybody in that top 5 or top 6. So he comes home in first. Sylvian Pomerade there in second position, comes across the line. Michael Hall in third, switches position with Ashley Sutton. I think that's pretty inevitable there, as Ashley Sutton will take fourth position. Steve Walker in fifth. We have Ashley Blake Hood in sixth, 15 seconds behind the leaders. Robert Fagg in seventh, and Pete Newman eighth. Paul Smith ninth, and then we have Robert Plumley in 10th. So we'll round out the rest of the grid for you later on. But Rachel, we know that was going to inevitably happen. Ashley Sutton giving that position to Michael Hall for the championship.
Yeah, Johnny had a few bobbles there, looking like he was running out of fuel, but nobody believes that. He gave points to his championship-leading teammate, and sporting action right there from him. A little bit covert in the way it was done, but hey, this is racing. It's all about team points.
We'll round out the rest of the grid for you. Laura Bond in 11th position. Good result from her in her first race of the season. We also have Dan Hunt there in 12th position. Dan Hunt, this is not good for him. Second in the championship coming into this round. Only in 12th. Wow, so that's not going to play to his... that's not going to be good for him come the end of the season. Ellis Stevens there in 13th position. 14th goes to Dan Blake. Stephen Burke in 15th. Then we have Magic Sagovic in 16th. Alex Bristow, Roy Ververke, and Patrice Langley round out the rest of the runners on the lead lap. Then we had Russell Laidler, Matthew Bunn, and Keith Hamilton, obviously not finishing the race on the lead lap. Russell Laidler, we know, not allowed to race in that final lap cam. It goes to show, I mean, how incredible it is. I mean, racing is so close. We're going to see drivers be disqualified throughout the series. As I think
we have technical issues with Cam Walsh, of course.
Yes.
Oh, wait a second.
No,
we
he's
don't.
back.
Hold on.
He's back.
Hold on.
It's
I muted
amazing.
it. I got it. It's amazing. Technology these days, I tell you. No, we didn't have as many car versus car incidents per se at Monza. We had swarms of cars having incidents, especially around turn 1, but this one was a lot of bumping and a lot of grinding here at Oulton Park, which what could expect. So, good racing here, and we'll go from there.
We will indeed. We'll go to a commercial break, everyone. Don't forget, driver interviews coming up after the break, as well as race 2, the 35-minute, 1 compulsory pit stop to be made. And don't forget, it is reverse grid as well. So we'll be back shortly after these messages.
It's time for those most famous words in motorsports. Drivers, start your engines!
Michael Conti comes up at a corner number 4 to the checkered flag. He wins his first NASCAR iRacing.
Simulated racing can be awesome, but it can also be kind of a free-for-all. Interestingly, auto racing faced the same problem in its earlier days. Whether it was on the back roads, the beaches, or the city streets, the racing was fun. But there was always a certain level of chaos and danger, until some folks came along and put some order to all of this. Stuff like official racetracks, regulations about weight and equipment, and enforcement of standards. That's what gave us high-speed excitement, fast-paced action, and photo finishes. That's when racing became racing. The guys over at iRacing.com have made the same transformation in the world of sim racing. Sure, they've got the most accurate tracks and realistic cars out there, but that's just the start. See, iRacing analyzes the performance and results of each driver in every race, so you can be sure you're always placed in races where the competition will be tight, and that those reckless drivers who ruin it for us all are kept in the pits. Not to mention that with over 45,000 active members already in their vast community, you can find races day and night, so you can always get in on the action. You can even join a league of your favorite series. And since updates are always automatic, you don't have to worry about software and can focus on the track. Zip up your fire suit and check out iRacing.com.
Welcome back everybody to RaceSpotTV's coverage of the Champions of the Future World Touring Car Championship here, the penultimate round at Oulton Park. We just finished race 1, a big win for Ben Palmer there in first position, and we're with the Arseholes teams now for a few interviews. Rachel, we're gonna bring it to you, but I think this might be a bit of a controversial moment of the broadcast.
Well, it could be, of course, Johnny, but we don't have Russell Laidler here with us. Don't think he's in quite a mood to talk to anyone right now after he reenacted Agincourt there with Pomerad. But we do, in fact, have Paul Smith, one of the other dogfighters in the Arseholes team. And Paul, you had some rather interesting fights with Plumley and the rest of the somewhat self-attacking Peter Media team. Tell us about your race.
Oh, it was all good fun. We were in a nice pack. Me, Ash Blakewood, Pete Newman, Rob Plumley. I may have made a little bit of contact at the hairpin, but you know, all fair. I gave the first back eventually.
Well, it's exciting race from your part. You're hoping for better long run pace in the second race?
To be honest with you, I've not done much on long running. so it's going to be a bit of a trip into the unknown. But I like the track. I do enjoy racing at Oulton Park, so I'm hoping for a good result.
Well, good luck with race 2. Back to you, Johnny. Which is apparently moved. So, we'll move on and we'll interview Ashley Blake Hood. You're not one of the arseholes, of course, but we're going to talk to you anyway because you're here. Ashley, at Volatile Element Car's been rather active in its camouflage today.
Yeah, I think getting in the middle of that dogfight was the best thing I could have done for my race there, because they all got themselves disqualified by hitting each other.
Oh, we didn't catch that bit, but considering how many times the Peter Newman Media cars hit each other, one could only suspect it would happen eventually. But expecting for better race results in the second one?
Yeah, it seems the setup I've got on the car is better on the long runs, because I had the pace over those 3 at the end there. Whether or not that was over because of damage, or I don't know, but hopefully with this setup I should be good for this race.
Well, awesome, and good luck in race 2. Johnny?
Well, we'll head down to 888 Racing for an interview with our race winner, Ben Palmer, there in first position. So we are... I hope we're all good, and yes, we are. From Monza, that's incredible stuff to take the win here at Oulton Park. I mean, the mentality you had to have battling with the top 5, pretty much split by half a second each. So, I mean, talk about your race in P1 and the amount of hectic battles you had.
Yeah, I was definitely bouncing in that race with Ashley Sutton. Sorry to Ash for making him run wide.
He's not sorry.
Yeah, I had people behind me, Ash in front of me. One slight little mistake like Ashley made, you'd lose a position.
Well, we also actually, I don't know if Ashley Sutton wants a word, because we spoke about you supporting Michael Hall there as a teammate, and well, I mean, I think it just played to perfection that you two were right next to each other on track, giving him those extra few points. But nonetheless, I'm pretty sure you might be slightly disappointed you couldn't get that win away from Ben Palmer.
Yeah, we're obviously leading the race up to that stage where we had that contact. It wouldn't have happened if I didn't run wide at the hairpin prior to that, so probably myself to blame, but hey ho, it's racing. So, but yeah, obviously we're here as a team as well, so I'm out of the championship, so Mike isn't. We're just using our heads.
So yeah. Nice.
Just going to jump in before Johnny finishes. I apologise, but I do want to say something to Ash. Ashley, have you been watching Fast and the Furious? Because that was some serious drifting you pulled off in
I haven't actually,
the chicane.
Had a lot of practice, so it's all good. Especially when you're racing Ben, you always get practice.
Well, definitely braked way earlier than I think you expected, and well, that was just one hell of a manoeuvre, getting it back on the track, in fact, but that's slow down, unfortunate. Johnny?
Well, we'll go to a commercial break. Incredible racing. Don't forget that race 2 is going to be underway after the break comes back. We'll come back live here for the Champions of the Future World Touring Car Championship here live on RaceSpotTV. 35 minutes of racing coming up in a few moments' time.
On the outside, contact made. 56 slides it at a 4. Who's going to be into the stripe? Dead even. Give it to Ryan Truex. Truex is your winner over Tandy.
Race fans, it's time for those most famous words in motorsports. Drivers, start your engines!
Michael Conti comes up at a corner number 4, and the checkered flag, he wins his first NASCAR iRacing.
Simulated racing can be awesome, but can also be kind of a free-for-all. Interestingly, auto racing faced the same problem in its earlier days. Whether it was on the back roads, the beaches, or the city streets, the racing was fun. But there was always a certain level of chaos and danger, until some folks came along and put some order to all of this. Stuff like official racetracks, regulations about weight and equipment, and enforcement of standards. That's what gave us high-speed excitement, fast-paced action, and photo finishes. That's when racing became racing. The guys over at iRacing.com have made the same transformation in the world of sim racing. Sure, they've got the most accurate tracks and realistic cars out there, but that's just the start.
The Champions of the Future World Touring Car Championship here live on RaceSpotTV. Race 2 will get underway in a few moments time. We're waiting for it to get underway. Reverse grid, we know, one compulsory pit stop for this race. It's going to make things incredibly hectic as we head towards the formation lap at the moment. Standing start as well. We look at pole position for the moment as well. We have Keith Hamilton there on pole. We know he finished last in race 1, so it's a reverse grid. He gets P1. Your tip for this race, Rachel, as we go towards... strategy plays a big part into it as we look at the rest of the grid.
Well, normally things filter out, so the guys who won the first race are typically back at the front for the second, so... my pick, I think, well, Palmer's been on top of it tonight, and he could be strong. Pomerad, if he doesn't hit too many cars on the way through, could be, but I'm saying Michael Hall.
Drivers waiting for the lights to illuminate and then disappear. Only a few more seconds away here. We know race 2 hectic for a standing start. Every one of the drivers, the nerves build up in a moment like this, waiting for the lights to illuminate. They rev the Kia Optima engines and they will go green right now as Keith Hamilton pulls away. A bit of a slow start from Patrice Langley in P3, albeit though I think he might keep that position away from Roy Ververke. Alex Bristow on the attack as well. Stephen Burke, don't tell me up the inside. Oh, a bit of contact on the front. The top 2 and 3, Matthew Bunn and Patrice Langley have spun off the track as well. They're at the end of the pit lane, but we focus back on the lead at the end of the first lap. Big battle there. Keith Hamilton still leads away, Cam.
Just massive drifting through the second corner here. I'm not sure if these guys were prepared for the weather, but my goodness, Stephen Burke's car is drifting left, right, and now they go into this island turn here. Let's see if there's any takers on playing Conkers here, but no, everyone seems to be getting through it cleanly so far, as it looks like Michael Hall and Ashley Sutton are already well up to about halfway through the field.
Incredible start from Paul Smith, 13th on the grid, actually up to third, 10 positions in just 4 corners already. Paul Smith, an amazing start there. He is in 3rd position. Keith Hamilton, we know, leading away from Stephen Burke, so those two at the front. Stephen Burke also a crazy start from 7th on the grid to 2nd. This is incredible stuff already, and I think we might even try to get a replay up for Paul Smith maybe there. Immense start there, Rachel, and this I'm just bemused.
Well, Paul Smith up 70 places because he was one of the few cars that didn't crash. That was, more cars off at the back of the field right now. Pete Newman.
I think it might have just been him. Let me find out for you.
Yes, so Pete Newman at the moment, as he might have been turned around. I believe that
Fagg.
might have been Robert Fagg. Yes, it was indeed. So Pete Newman is still on the side of the track, and I think his race is done and dusted. But we go to the end of the first lap as Keith Hamilton leads away from Stephen Burke. Paul Smith's there in P3. This is playing great for him. I was meant to say confused before, but now he might even get into P2. Oh, wow, this is one of the best starts I've ever seen in motor racing. Paul Smith from 13th on the grid up to 2nd at the second lap. Now, will he get a bit of a tag there from Stephen Burke? No, he doesn't. He might take the lead. Oh, a bit of contact, and Paul Smith turned around into the wall. Oh, this is just heartbreaking for them, Rachel.
It is indeed. He was running so well there, and Hamilton just getting loose. And, well, no lift off there for Stephen Burke. He decides he wants to keep his foot in, and Paul Smith goes around. We also just had Steve Walker going off at the hairpin after a big wobble in the braking zone, so this is falling like flies now.
Oh, so Steve Walker down there in 15th position. I'm not sure.
Hairpin. We just had, I don't know what that was. Alex Bristow got rear-ended by Dan Blake going into the hairpin. Blake apparently doesn't know what his brakes are.
Oh, so more contact for Alex Bristow, who's fallen down through the field as well. So he's down there in P12, I think. Yeah, so he's dropped lots of positions. He was in P5 at the start of this lap. I think Keith Hamilton's still leading away. Stephen Burke and, Ellis Stevens there up into P2. So Ellis Stevens now trying to get the lead. We'll focus on this. Ellis Stevens now onto the back, up the inside though of Keith Hamilton, and Ellis Stevens takes that position away, approaching half an hour left in race 2, and actually they might be side by side. No, Keith Hamilton has to succumb to that pressure, and he'll be in P2 for now. So Stephen Burke trying to get in front. We look though, oh, Keith Hamilton up the inside, still side by side for the lead, and now, oh, Keith Hamilton takes that position back. So incredible driving there. Stephen Burke on the attack. We have a big battle between Hall and Sutton though there in P6 and P7, Karen.
Well, that we do. Ashley Sutton has made it through the field as we've had somebody say hello into the middle of this island corner. Ashley Sutton getting clipped by his teammate Michael Hall as they all try and get away. Everyone seems to be getting away. There's no crashed cars on the side of the track, but Ashley Sutton getting away here. Position 6 after starting in 18th. Now Ashley Blake Hood also fighting very hard with Michael Hall. Michael Hall is gunned out by Dan Hall through the chicanes as they all come through single file. We'll see if there's any takers coming through this, but my goodness, this middle pack here is absolutely sensational.
Yeah, so the two CQR Club cars there, Ashley Sutton and Michael Hall, great starts, as well as Russell Ladle there in 10th position. Look at though, Ashley Sutton's having to get onto the brakes a lot more than he wants, and he's being impeded a lot there in front by Laura Bond, so he's trying to make his way through on Laura, who's defending well actually, because Ashley Sutton just can't get past. Back to the lead though. Oh no, more battling. I think that's Keith Hamilton now on the defensive from Stephen Burke. Ellis Stevens into the lead. Dan Blake there in fourth. I don't know who's in which position at the moment. Keith Hamilton trying to stick around the outside again. No, he can't. He's back into P3. Dan Blake now on the attack. A hectic first lap. It's very important in these stages, Rachel, to keep it together because we know the race is very long. Still half an hour left.
It is indeed, and of course pit stops will be coming up, enforced pit stops for these drivers. Probably some enforced damage repairs as well, with how this has gone at the start. A lot of cars using each other as brakes as well. Ellis Stevens spun out from the lead by Burke. That's the fourth time Burke's moved somebody off the track.
Oh, so Ellis Stevens now from the lead. He's absolutely another heartbreaking moment for him, Cam.
I think Burke needs to be parked after this one, I'm sorry.
Well, this is what I'm seeing here. Actually, he was rear-ended by Keith Hamilton. He actually nudged the leader's car, which wasn't enough to take him out, and then he got rear-ended by Keith Hamilton's car. So this is actually kind of a conga line, a little bit of an accordion, and unfortunately for Steve Burke, he got rear-end and front-end damage. So not a good day for that right there, but coming away from it, though.
Oh,
Bristow!
Big contact, and I think that might actually be Alex Bristow. Actually, Sutton's taken off the track. Laura Bond survives for another day, and that's just allowed Michael Hall into P3, so more action at the back. Oh, geez, big chain reaction effect there, Rachel, and that's what we talk about, dominoes falling at this tight circuit. There's just no room for error.
Yeah, well, we just had Alex Bristow go flying off at the hairpin, of course, chicane, sorry. Up ahead, Sutton goes up the inside of Laura. Laura goes up the inside of Hamilton. Laura catches Hamilton. Hamilton spins. Sutton catches Hamilton. Hall gets spun around. Everyone dances and does. Actually, Blake Hood dead. I don't know what's going on. I've lost complete control of my mind, and everything on track is killing itself.
Pete Newman out of the race as well there, so Ashley Sutton down there in P8, Ben Palmer now making his way through the field. This is incredible though for Michael Hall into P3. I was about to say before, the top 10, 3.9 seconds between them after that incident. It's opened up, it's extruded itself to 9.1, so, oh wow, incredible battling, incredible contact. And some drivers do not live for another day, some do. Ashley Sutton, though, with lots of damage. I'm surprised he's still driving around in P8. We'll look at his lap times, almost spinning off the track. Ashley Sutton keeping it together. And I think that car cam is just pretty beaten up.
It is pretty beaten up, but if he can get this through into the fuel window, he should be able to bring it in. That crew will take a quick look at it, see what they can't beat and bang out with a hammer, what fuel they can get into that darn thing, and see if they can't get some new tires on them to finish, to go to the finish. I don't believe these guys are going to need tires, but you never, well, actually, these guys do need tires. What am I talking about? I was thinking about Skip Barber, but yes, Ashley Sutton, I think he's just milling around trying to burn that fuel off to get into that window, but right now, Dan Blake is closed right in on the leader of Stephen Burke, as a couple of cars might be taken in the pit lane there. I believe Keith Hamilton might have been one of them. Yes, it was.
Yes, so Keith Hamilton, we know, fighting for the lead, started on pole position, down there in 19th position. Michael Hall 2.2 seconds behind. We look at the battle though for P9. Steve Walker onto the back of Robert Fagg. Now Robert Fagg trying to defend up towards turn 4. Now defending the inside line, incredibly close. Steve Walker almost tapping him as well. And now up around the outside. Can he do it? No, he can't. Great defending there by Robert Fagg, and I think he's trying to go for the undercut there, Steve Walker. He might have it. He's going to have the inside line into the next 5, 6, 7 chicane. So great battling at the moment, and I think that Steve Walker has played that perfectly. We have a car in front as well. Keith Hamilton going off the track, Rachel.
Yeah, so Hamilton off once again. He had a bit of damage there from that previous contact, so that's obviously affected his car.
Yeah, so Keith Hamilton now, he's obviously a lap car. He's getting out of the way for the leaders, straight off the track. The battle for P4 now. Laura Bond right onto the back of... Russell Laidler now onto the back of Dan Hunt. Laura Bond losing that position. Ben Palmer there in 7th. Ashley Sutton in 8th. No one has broken away from each other at the moment, though. Those top 4, though, are separated by quite a bit. So the top 3, Dan Hunt, we know, in 4th position, trying to defend this away from Russell Laidler. Russell Laidler, though, we know, reverse grid, started in 22nd, up into 5th. This is the battle. This is what we want to see. Drivers making their way through the field, getting out of any trouble, and that's exactly what Russell Laidler's done, Rachel.
He has, and he's benefited hugely from everybody else making less than brain-worthy decisions on the racetrack, of course, but Russell Laidler, we know he's good, we know he's great at coming through traffic, and we have Ashley Sutton off, I believe.
Yeah, Ashley Sutton, lots of damage, and we talked about it earlier. The damage from that car was at turn 2 as well. Clipped the grass around the outside. This is uncharacteristic, Cam, because we know Ashley's an incredible driver. It has to be the damage on that Kia Optima.
I'm sure it is. That front wheel doesn't look too particularly happy, but he just kind of clipped that outside grass there, tracked a little bit, and now he's still back underway. At least the car seems to at least be doing lap times that aren't too terribly underpaced, but hopefully he can get to that pit that we do have coming up probably in the next 10 minutes or 15 minutes. Probably next 15 to 20 minutes. But yeah, right now Dan Blake's still on the wheel tracks of Stephen Burke. Both cars quite damaged, which should allow Michael Hull, who is in, I believe, a completely mint Kia, to be able to catch up and see if he can't do anything about it, as they've closed it up another half a second in one lap.
Michael Hall, 23.3 last time around. The top two, 24.0 for Dan Blake and 23.8 for Stephen Burke. Yes, Dan Hunt into the pit lane as well. An early pit stop for him. Could undercut a lot of drivers. So Ashley Sutton as well into the pits to repair that damage. Good for him to get in early and get out of the way of any traffic right now. So Michael Hall is still approaching the leaders. So we talked about that, Rachel, about pitting early, repairing the damage, any damage you might have, getting maybe the undercut on the drivers, avoiding those battles. Yes, it's entertaining for us in the broadcast, but if you want to win the race, you have to make sure you minimize your time loss.
You do indeed, and right now, of course, that's the important thing. These drivers need to make sure the car is right on the fuel and tyres at the end, but more importantly, track position means everything. Why bother fighting with the cars when you can have a clear, empty track? If you're in traffic mired early, the undercut's a great option because it means you come out with great room to race. And if we're cleaner now, stay out. You know, it benefits both drivers equally in opposite directions. But we are approaching that pit window, and well, drivers are going to start to head to pit road en masse quite soon.
Believe it or not, Paul Smith is still in P10 after everything that happened to him. He's dropping back though. We lost him. That's why I was concentrating. He disappeared off my screen, reappeared now, and I mean, someone just does not like him at the moment because Paul Smith has done everything he could, and out of no fault of his own is just dropping his way through the field. So hopefully a few technical issues may be sorted for him. So Stephen Burke still leads the way, 0.6 of a second in front of Dan Blake for P2. Michael Hall there in third. Russell Laidler 4.5 seconds behind in fourth position. Then we have Ben Palmer, Laura Bond, Stephen Walker, Robert Vag, Roy Ververken, and Elif Stevens rounding out our top 10. Magic Sagovic and Matthew Bunn just outside there in 11th and 12th. So we're waiting for the pit stops to play out. We look at the times though for a few drivers. I believe Patrice Langley might be in the pit. So Paul Smith, indeed. Oh, Stephen Burke has just been tagged by Dan Blake in the lead. Oh, so Dan Blake completely missing his braking point, and now Michael Hall's given, I think, Dan Blake a little tap as well. So out of nowhere, I think Dan Blake just missed his braking point there into turn 5 as they head towards the blind few corners. Lots of undulation at this part of the track now as Dan Blake still keeping his pace together. We'll see where Michael Hall positions his car at this point in time. He does go up the inside very late though. It's going to get incredibly tight. Dan Blake sees him, and Michael Hall now brakes late, gets the camber into that penultimate corner, and now to finish this lap around, did any of them pit? Stephen Burke pits after that damage. Michael Hall takes the lead, and Cam, incredible racing from the top 3.
It's incredible racing, but it's not just that. Great run from Michael Hall. He started in 19th position, but that's not the important part. The important part is that car is completely brand spanking new. That car doesn't look like it has seen any issues today, even though it has been through the most of the traffic, especially a standing start in the back of the field. They will come up upon lap traffic. That is Patrice Langlet in the distance. As you can see the lights in the distance now, these lights illuminating quite a lot of this fog that we have here at Oulton Park. But Michael Hall, we'll see if he can't maybe pull away from Dan Blake, or maybe if Dan Blake's pace can now come out without Burke in front of him there, but we'll have to see for sure as we go on to lap 10 now, almost on to lap 11 as they're about halfway through this lap. But good racing so far from a lot of these guys, and it's still tight in a couple of other places, so for sure.
Quick pit stop for Stephen Burke, I believe around 25 seconds, so he comes out pretty quickly. He probably didn't take tyres, I don't believe. That's a pretty quick pit stop. Normally it's around 35 to 40 seconds in these Kia Optimas. It's great to see Stephen Burke out there. We know the pit speed limit as well, 50 kilometers. It's very slow around Oulton Park, but a very short pit lane as well. So Michael Hall now, he's actually got a great gap away. He continues for another lap. We'll watch Dan Blake. So Dan Blake there in second position. He still carries on for another lap as well. And where is he? Where is he? Ben Palmer. I'm looking for Ben Palmer. He's in fourth position. 0.8 of a second behind Russell Laidler. So now we're waiting for everyone to make that pit stop. We talked about the early runners as well. Where's Ashley Sutton? Ashley Blake Hood as well. Dan Hunt there, 12th, 13th, 14th. This is going to be very interesting, Rachel. Once everyone makes their pit stop, how much those guys who tried to undercut, as I believe Laura Bond is in the pits, how much those guys tried to undercut and how much time they will gain out of it.
Yeah, that is very valuable, and of course they can do it now. Very important, as we said, clear track, so vital.
So now with just under 20 minutes remaining in this race, we'll look at the top 10 for you again. Michael Hall in the lead, away from Dan Blake. 1.9 seconds in front is Michael Hall. Russell Laidler in third, Ben Palmer fourth, Steve Walker there in fifth as well. Robert Fagg 8.5 seconds behind Steve in fifth. In sixth position, Roy Viverke in seventh, Magic Sagovic in eighth, Stephen Burke in ninth, and then Alice Stevens in 10th as well. A big gap between Stephen Burke and Magic Sagovic for 8th and 9th, 17 seconds. That's that pit stop we're waiting for some drivers to make. Michael Hall continues for another lap, so does Dan Blake. So a long stint in these early stages, Rachel, as Michael Hall still eating away. He's 1.1 seconds faster than lap than Dan Blake. So at the moment, Michael Hall, this might just be his race to win.
Yeah, Michael Hall's always been a good spotter. We know he's fast as well. He's also great on the strategy calls. So clean out at the moment. I think it's a very reasonable idea to stay out for him, run the laps down, get a good gap and then look to put the pit road. But can't stay out too late because he needs time to come back through the field. And yeah, Michael Hall probably going to be one of the guys that'll be tough to beat. But well, Rusty Laidler, he stayed out as well. He's not got much damage on that car, so he could. Well, he has. I lied. Rusty's got lots of front damage, which is nothing new, but he could be a threat right now.
Yeah, the weather as well as venues, lots of fog and cloud as well, as Michael Hall still eating away from the gap. He's approached the lap car, and that is Patrice Langley, as Cam mentioned as well, and Paul Smith, or no, sorry, not Paul Smith, Roy Viverke. So Roy Viverke's had a moment as well into the turn 4 hairpin, and he's braked very late, hit the wall as well, Cam, and well, that's not going to play well for his result in this race.
Well, it didn't lose him too much. It only lost him one position. He didn't really damage the car, but it was it's kind of one of those accidents that happen in slow motion. He got all the way to the end of the corner, and he was just about to clear the tie barrier, and then plump. So he just had to back it up, get back on track, but he's going to lose that one position. Shouldn't lose another one. But yeah, that's, well, out of all the incidents that we've seen today, that one's not a bad one to have.
Russell Laidler into the pits as well while that was happening. So Russell Laidler getting tyres as well. This could be a long pit stop. We'll see how long it takes. 17.5 minutes remaining. Strategy is going to play... It's going to be really important here this afternoon. So we'll see how Russell Laidler's pit stop goes. The battle for the lead. Dan Blake still falling behind into the clutches of Ben Palmer into P3. And Michael Hall still hasn't made his pit stop from 19th on the grid to 1st. Great driving. Ben Palmer though as well. 21st to 3rd, Rachel. Two great starts from those drivers. I'm just really sad to see that Paul Smith, who could have been up there in these early stages, is pretty much out of the race, or out of any contention for the win.
Yeah, Smith just got unlucky with a bit of contact there, and well, he's disqualified now. I think he's fallen down the order, so Paul Smith just... No, well, actually, no, he's still running. I'm surprised. He disappeared for me, but
14th, yep.
Yeah, the car's having to slow down a few times. I think he's got definite damage he's fighting right now, and it's just been in one too many collisions with people that weren't his fault. I mean, he had a great run at the start where he managed to somehow ninja his way through the storm of Kia death that happened in the first couple of laps, but just unfortunate for him now, he's been cycled down.
So Ben Palmer now around the outside of Dan Blake, I believe. Yes, so Ben Palmer now into P2. Oh, Blake giving him a bit of room, and I'm getting a bit unsettled by that. So yeah, Dan Blake now into P3. Ben Palmer made a position. He has to really catch Michael Hall though in front. It's 5 seconds the gap, and that's what we talk about, Cam. Pit stop entry, pit stop exit, the in-lap, the out-lap, practicing and perfecting it. It all comes down to moments like this, because Ben Palmer has to take the win here this afternoon to have any hope of winning this championship and taking it away from Michael Hall. And to do that, he really has to nail his pit stop phase.
Well, that he does. We've got about 15 minutes left after this lap, as this is a 35-minute race with the pit stop. Let's just see. I think Ben Palmer might be able to catch up with him, but I'm just not quite sure. Now he's got open space. He just did his fastest lap some 2 laps ago. Let's see if he can get his fastest lap this time by, which they're coming through right now. But I just have to say, Palmer doing a good job. Actually, this is the back of the track. I always mix these two up, but Palmer's been making a very good run through the field. He can see Michael Hall's car, barely, but that's mostly because it's fluorescent yellow. As they come through that Ben Palmer car, we'll have to see. No, he'll come into the pits. So, actually, we'll just forget everything I said.
So Palmer now trying to nail the entry right. It's very difficult as well. It's a bit of an angled entry, and he gets into his box. Does he miss his pits box? No, he doesn't. Perfect entry for him, and I believe it could be a quick pit stop. No, they've taken tyres, left side tyres, and right most likely there for Ben Palmer, and this is crucial. Watching this pit stop time, as he needs to ensure it's as minimal as it can be. He has to make up 5 seconds on Michael Hall. It'll be perfect if he can do it on strategy, but if he doesn't take fresh tyres, which he has anyway, Michael Hall also needs to take fresh tyres because he'll lose too much time, Rachel. And so now this is something that Michael Hall really needs to keep his eye on. He's fighting for the championship. We know his team CQR Club's wrapped up the team's championship, but a quick pit stop there for Ben Palmer, out of the pits as well into P8. So this is perfect for him at the moment, 33.4 seconds. And now Ben Palmer feeding away into P9 behind Russell Laidler, could have a bit of traffic. So at the moment though, Michael Hall really needs to make his pit stop soon and make it quick.
It will be indeed, and I think Ben Palmer is always very fast. He always contends for these wins, so lap times from him will be definitely on the mind there of Michael Hall. But I think Michael Hall really needs to react to this one and come on in, because if he doesn't, the gap will start to get too small.
And he doesn't. Continues for another lap with 13.5 minutes remaining in this one. So Michael Hall 7.08 seconds away from Dan Blake. So Dan Blake into the pit lane, I believe. So yes, so that's why that gaps. I thought maybe Dan Blake spun. So thanks for raising my heartbeat there for a bit, Dan. But no, nothing to worry about for Dan. He comes into his pit box quite cautiously though, Cam. Look at that. So Dan Blake really approaching it cautiously. And that's probably lost him a second just from that. So that's what we talk about, being aggressive in the pit entry and the in-lap and out-lap phase, as I believe, is that actually something out of the race, or does he have a technical issue? But we talked about those pit stops, Cam. Yeah, Dan Blake being very cautious.
Yeah, I mean, it's a 37-mile-an-hour exit, I believe. I'm fairly confident it's a 37-mile-an-hour exit, and there wasn't a single point during that entire straight where he hit 37 miles an hour. He was actually coasting at 10 miles an hour at one point. So that's going to trail that gap out, and all depending on how Michael Hall's pit stop is. This is lap 16, 21 minutes into this race. We'll have to see as he finishes off the back half of Oulton Park if he wants to come in. A lot of dust kicked up around him, but I don't see anything. As it's a 45-second pit stop from Dan Blake. He's out and away, Johnny.
Yep, comes out behind Paul Smith there in P11. So Dan Blake in P12, outside of the top 10. He will hopefully make his way back through the field. We talk about all the championship leaders. So Michael Hall into the pits, but yeah, Dan Blake there in 24th, and he spins as well. So while we're concentrating on Michael Hall's pit stop, Dan Blake spins on his outlap, and that's just cost him lots of time. P2 before the pit stops. So now his his race has taken a turn for the worse, but Michael Hall in his box, aiming for 34.9 seconds, Rachel, and we'll see how his pit stop phase goes.
Yeah, and this has really hurt any sort of chance Dan Blake had of catching up there to Michael Hall. So that's going to be really, really detrimental.
So Michael Hall now trying to rev the engine, waiting for the car to go away. Quick pit stop, 30.6 seconds, and that's just given no hope there for... no hope for Ben Palmer. Where is Ben Palmer? He's in P8. So Michael Hall has gained so much time at the moment on Ben Palmer.
Straight, though. He's coming
Michael
through the
Hall
straight.
now.
Yep, final corner. I'm sorry.
So yeah, Ben Palmer, right onto the back of Russell Laidler. So you're correct, Cam, on the main straight behind Russell Laidler. So Ben Palmer being held up as well. And is he trying to get a move up the inside? And he's too far behind. I'm not sure where. I'm trying to concentrate on what's going on at the moment. So Michael Hall, incredible quick pit stop, and he's just gained so much time on the lead as Ben Palmer stuck behind Russell Laidler there in P6.
He absolutely is, Ben Palmer. Of course, these two guys had some fighting to do, I believe, in race 1. Yeah, I just have to say, quite a lot of distance between these two, Ben Palmer and Michael Hall. Not quite sure. It doesn't look too insurmountable, but with 15 minutes to go, we'll have to see what they want to do. I think Russell Laidler, though, is really the one that's kind of... I don't believe Russell's been into the pits yet, has he?
He has, actually.
Okay,
so
this is a fight for the position, actually.
Yeah, so Russell Laidler, a few laps ago, has been into the pits. So now Ben Palmer trying to get in front. And he has freshened rubber. We know Ben Palmer made an early pit stop as well. Michael Hall 1.9 seconds behind Ellis Stevens there in P4. Stephen Burke still in third. Dan Hunt 20 seconds away from Robert Fagg, who still leads the race. We're waiting for that pit stop as well. Looking to see who will eventuate out of this battle at the moment, though. Ben Palmer struggling behind Russell Laidler, still can't get past. This is perfect, though, Rachel, for Russell, because with 10 minutes remaining in this race, it's all about position. He needs to keep his head cool as they approach that turn 4 hairpin.
Yeah, they do indeed, and of course, turn 4 has been completed successfully, nice and well executed there on the cold tyres. So, coming round, looking at that's Ellis Stevens ahead of him, and that will be for track position. Ellis Stevens, I believe, has clips the wall there. He's not pitted, no. So, Michael Hall will be in net 4th position once this is complete. Stephen Burke, we know, has pitted. Hunt has pitted. No, Dan Hunt has not pitted, of course. So, unless you know he has, he pitted on lap 8. So it's an early pit stop out of the way there for Dan Hunt. He could be difficult to move out of the way.
He could indeed. They're in P2 for Dan Hunt. Struggling in race 1. So, yeah. So, Robert Fagg into the pits. And that will hand the lead to Dan Hunt, who struggled in race 1 there, finishing in P12. And now Ben Palmer, actually. In the meantime, Ben Palmer's got ahead of Russell Laidler there into turn 5. So, good driving there from Ben Palmer. Michael Hall, that allows him up into 4th from Robert Fagg's pit stop. So, Dan Hunt now, second in the championship coming into the round. He has a drop round, which was Silverstone. Only scored 45 points from a maximum 200 cam. This is important. It's to make sure that that drop round is later on in the season just for safety. Dan Hunt's pretty much taken that in round 2, where he had a pretty terrible sequence of races at Silverstone. So now he's on the back foot come the end of the season, and it's just going to be a hard, really, I don't know, hard yakker. I don't even know if you know what that means, but it's something they say in Australia. Hard work to try and fight his way for the championship lead.
Yes, it is going to be a very hard yakker, or whatever that word might be. Michael Hall, though, he looks fairly squared away here. I mean, everyone in front of him has pit now. Obviously, Robert Fagg has gone into the pits, but Stephen Burke is pitted and Dan Hunt is pitted. Maybe he can... I imagine he can catch up to these guys. It's about a 4 or 5 second gap. It's just a mountain to climb, really, when you start getting late in the season. This is round 7 of Champions of the Future, and on RaceSpotTV. Hello. But Michael Hall, he's been doing very, very well. He did good at Monza, and here he is at Oulton Park doing a fairly good job, though, doing the good lap times, keeping his car clean, and looks like Michael Hall might come away with quite a nice points haul.
Michael Hall and it was Sylvain Pomerado, the only 2 drivers in round 2 and round 3 respectively to have a perfect round, win both races. At the moment, though, it looks a little bit optimistic from Ben Palmer. He's 7.7 seconds behind 3rd place. That's Michael Hall in 3rd. So now we're waiting for Russell Laidler, who's not dropped back, interestingly enough, Rachel. Ben Palmer's passed him into the hairpin, but it was from a mistake from Russell Laidler, so that's why he's still right onto the back of Ben Palmer, getting into the slipstream, maybe saving fuel while he's at it. So now he has to go and attack. 6.5 minutes remaining. Russell Laidler, we know he has the pace. Can he keep it together come these late stages of the race?
Well, it's going to be hard, but if anyone can do it, he can. He's a master strategist, and well, he's going to have to pick his way past the traffic right now. Of course, Burke's been rather defensive as things have gone so far, so that could be a tricky moment for him.
So Stephen Burke in P2, 0.3 of a second behind leader Dan Hunt. The race is not over once again for another round. We know the final round next week at Sonoma, round 8. Don't forget to join us. For now, though, with 6 minutes remaining, Stephen Burke is not going to walk away without a win next to his name. The same goes for Dan Hunt, who comes across turn 11, and then through turn 12, we know the Deer Leap there at Oulton Park, a very iconic final corner as they head towards another lap at the moment. Stephen Burke, 2/10 faster than Dan Hunt last time around, tucking into the slipstream. This is so important, Cam, as they approach turn 4, the hairpin. Stephen Burke needs to attack early. He needs to find his options early and not wait too late in the race.
Well, it is. It all depends on who gets the best exit out of the second corner. They both run quite similar. Stephen Burke in the wheel tracks, but his tires, I think, are just ultimately much more colder. We've seen him sliding around, especially when he came out of the pits and at the start of the race, so don't know how that's going to affect his car here, but they will come up upon lap traffic. Ellis Stevens running relatively slow laps as they're just going to engulf this guy. Will possibly Stephen Burke be able to use him as a pick? Michael Hall might be climbing ever closer as these two guys fight. Actually, it allows Michael Hall to really catch right back up as they start closing in on Ellis Stevens, and that's just we'll have to see what they want to do here.
Yeah, if Dan Hunt, or if that is a good screen, it needs to be an NBA screen for Dan Hunt to lose the lead, because they're approaching him at a pretty difficult point of the track.
Good part, yeah.
So at the moment, they're always creeping in ever so close at the moment, so Dan Hunt's reeled him in a lot quicker than we thought, out of the way as well, so it doesn't impede Dan Hunt too much, stays to the right of the track.
This is the perfect
so
spot.
Not in the way. Yeah, perfect spot as you mentioned, Cam. So now tucking into the slipstream, that is Ellis Stevens, so played pretty perfect for him. Stephen Burke though, not so much, Cam. Look at that, he could be hounded though as they approach the hairpin maybe at this part of the track.
I'm very, very surprised that Ellis Stevens pulled in there. Should have let those two cars go. You're not fighting anybody here, as he is just getting swarmed left and right. Steve Burke goes and he'll have to make a pass to the inside. Stevens might want to know he will not yield the position there. It allows Michael Hall to try and go
I think
on
I
the
can say
outside
why
corner.
he's staying in there, of course, because look at the same colour of the car in front.
Yeah, so the CQR comes. Oh, look at this though, Michael Hall around the outside of Stephen Burke. Can he take P2 away? He's trying to go for... Oh, look at that, too close, and he lets him through, so the drivers live for another day. I'm surprised that they did, and well, good driving from both of them. Hats off to them. Stephen Burke and Michael Hall battling there for the final podium positions. This has allowed Dan Hunt a 1.4 second lead, as Ellis Stevens still in the way at the moment. Rachel, this is the tight section of the track. He has to let them through as early as he can. He's getting in the way though in this battle, and Michael Hall giving a bump draft as well, approaching the second to last corner.
It is indeed, and Hall sneaks it through, sweeps in front of Ellis Stevens there, it's right across Burke, but Burke will not give this one up lightly, as Michael Hall sweeps through now to second position. Stevens has, well, he's been defending for his teammate there, let's pretty much safely say that. Ellis Stevens was defending the gap to Dan Hunt. His race is over, but they've passed him now, so it's time for Michael Hall and Burke to go on the charge and see what they can do.
But we saw that in race 1, drivers trying to go up the inside there. Michael Hall, though, showing this is why he's the championship leader, because he can race like that into P2. Oh, just breathtaking with 2.5 minutes remaining. And as Stephen Burke almost collects him into the hairpin, braking late. Michael Hall, though, running wide onto the grass. Is that going to allow Stephen Burke a shot at P2? No, he's too far behind. And we look at another battle, though. Steve Walker still too far behind Russell Laidler. So at the moment, though, it seems that everyone's sort of settling into formation. Although when we say that, we're expecting a few Kia Optimas on their roof cap.
Well, we have been, and I have to say, this has been a very unfortunate race for those in the betting wars for car to flipped over ratio. But ultimately, it's everyone's... Yeah, as you just said, they are kind of slowing down there. Stephen Burke not really seeming to have anything for Michael Hall, as Michael Hall will slip into the fog. But Dan Hunt, that car right there out front, 31 minutes into this, 5 minutes to go. So about 2 laps to go as they are going to be crossing the line this time. We'll have to see what they have on the clock. It's 33 minutes and 10 seconds flat. So you've got another 2 minutes to go. Should get another 2 laps in. So this is the second to last lap. And Dan Hunt, it's just going to be one of those time things. Will Michael Hall have enough time to catch him, as he was faster that last lap?
So it's up to Dan Hunt's mistakes, because Michael Hall only 2/10 faster that lap. Yes, it is indeed correct. 2 laps remaining in this one as the timer approaches 1 minute and 20 seconds left. It's around 1:24 for a lap around here. The leader's lapping at 1:23.8 for Dan Hunt, 1:23.6 for Michael Hall. They've broken away from Stephen Burke. They're in 3rd position. In 4th is Ben Palmer. They're 6.3 seconds behind. 5 seconds behind him is Russell Laidler, but he's being hounded and he's being nagged by Steve Walker in P6. Laura Bond still up there in P7 in the reverse grid, still capitalizing on that, and is still into P7. Good race from her. Robert Fagg there in 8th. Good race from him as well in 8th position. Magic Sakovic in 9th. Dan Blake in 10th. He's dropped lots of positions after that pit stop phase, Rachel, as we approach the final lap. Michael Hall, though, his gap, it's still 1.2 seconds to the lead. And as I said, unless I'm not trying to initiate a commentator curse, if Dan Hunt makes a mistake, I think that's all wrapped up for Dan Hunt in the lead.
Well, it could well be wrapped up, but there is not a huge gap to Michael Hall, and, well, I think he could potentially catch him if he makes a mistake, but Dan Hall could well run away with this one, you're right, but we'll see.
Well, we're still...
the
time is ticking down to 0, isn't it, almost? So, sorry, Cam, but yeah, the time is ticking down to 0, so this is indeed the final lap. An amazing race from Dan Hunt. So, yeah, he's 3/10 slower than Michael Hall that time around, but at the moment, though, it seems Michael Hall's too far behind. He's being too aggressive into the hairpin, and that's just cost him a couple of tenths.
Well, that it has, and Hull's tried what he can, but ultimately that Dan Hunt car is going to be right out front with its headlights and its taillights still gleaming. A rather clean car, just as Michael Hall's car is. Both cars relatively undamaged, which is just goes to show why they're out front. Dan Hunt starting in 10th, Michael Hall starting in 19th. So very good race from these two gentlemen, and now as they finish out their last lap here, I have to just say that's some good racing there with Stephen Burke, who has had an exciting race in 3rd.
So Dan Hunt approaching Warwick Bridge and then Lodge Corner. He'll go across Deer Leap and take the checkered flag, and he will take the win here, bouncing back from his poor race in race 1. Reverse grid in race 2. The strategy played perfection for him. The undercut works out well, and Dan Hunt takes the lead and takes the win from Michael Hall there. Michael Hall comes home in P2. Stephen Burke a few seconds behind as well in P3. So Stephen Burke there, a good result for him. We wait for Russell Laidler in 4th position to come across the line. He does there for the Arseholes team, and he was pretty ecstatic with that by the looks of it, and he's into P4. So great result from him. Steve Walker in 5th position. Robert Fagg there in 6th. Laura Bond comes home actually, so Laura Bond comes home in 7th. And actually the timing screen's played up. I've forgotten someone. Yeah, it says 8th. So someone's...
I believe Fagg passed at the... Fagg made a last-second pass for 7th position.
So so at the final corner... So Robert Fagg now around the outside of the second to last corner over Laura Bond, and they made a bit of contact as well. So they kept it together, and Robert Fagg has drag race to the finish line. We missed that. So Robert Fagg comes across the line in P7, and that's just a great result from him. That's caught me off guard. And then the rest of the top 10 for you, we have Dan Blake, Matthew Bunn, and then actually we'll round out the rest of the runners on the lead lap. Actually, Magic Sakovic in 11th, Ashley Blake Hood in 12th, Roy Ververke in 13th, and Paul Smith, a great start, topsy-turvy for him, a poor finish there in 14th, out of no fault of his own though. And we will come back after a few commercial breaks. An incredible race too once again. We'll be back for a few driver interviews as well. Do not leave us. This is RaceSpotTV's live coverage of the Champions of the Future World Touring Car Championship.
Truex on the outside, contact made. 56 slides it into 4. Who's going to be into the stripe? Dead even, give it to Ryan Truex. Truex is your winner over Tandy.
Race fans, it's time for those most famous words in motorsports. Drivers, start your engines!
Michael Conti comes up at a corner number 4 in the checkered flag. He wins his first NASCAR iRacing.
The Champions of the Future World Touring Car Championship here live on RaceSpotTV. Race 2 just finished. Dan Hunt taking P1 honours away from Michael Hall. And we, of course, have driver interviews as usual, currently with the Arseholes teams. We'll start off with Paul Smith. Paul, incredible start from 13th into P2. And what happened there at the hairpin? Just a bit of contact, pretty much through no fault of your own, I believe.
Yeah, me and Steve Burke seem to come together quite a bit now. It's magnetically attracted. Yeah, start was awesome. I just closed my eyes and screaming. And then yeah, I made a little bit of contact with Keith Hamilton, so I apologise to him on the hairpin on lap 2, and then Steve Burke just came in and turned me into the barrier. Yeah, it's not ideal at all. I'm not happy. And then to top it off, I started having connection issues, and then I didn't put in enough fuel, so
Yeah.
I did a 2-stop stint. So yeah, it was a rubbish race.
Yeah, we thought you lost. I was watching in the back of the pack, having a few technical issues for you there. But nonetheless, Paul Smith coming home in P14. Obviously, a disappointing race for him. Not where he wanted to finish at all. Still on the lead lap. But at the moment, though, Russell Laidler, I believe, is with Rachel Whiteford.
He is indeed. I'm stood here with Russell Laidler next to his smoking arsehole's car. Rusty, it's been an exciting race for you today, both races. Things not quite to plan in race 2.
If anything, actually, race 2 went pretty much how I wanted it to go. I had a great start at the beginning. I messed up my fuel strategy, which is my own fault, but that first lap was great. I think I made 10 places up in the first lap. So, I had the pace in race 1. I had one too many incidents, got myself DQ'd. Even after, I had a great battle with Sylvain and Ben and Ash and everybody. So it was nice to be at the sharp end for once, if I'm honest. But that second race, it was a bit messy at times, but that's why I've got that noob remover fitted. If someone's being a bit of a chode, then they are. I will be quite happy just to give them a little tap, really. The noob remover
A
bar.
nod of appreciation with the noob remover copyrighted.
The noob remover bar, the main reason in behind it is it's to stop the front end getting caved in. If you hit someone too hard without one, you've got extremely high chance of damaging your radiator and your front end and losing all your cooling. So
what you're saying is, if you don't have a noob remover, the noob will remove you.
Well, pretty much. I've seen it time and time again this season. People rear-ending people without the patented noob remover, which is a very close relative to the Plato bar. And I've seen people's engines just self-destruct on impact. So, yeah, it's a great piece of kit to have. The whole team's got them now. We're working on a rear anti-noob bar for getting rear-ended because there's too many times this season we've had serious rear end damage. So that's something we're going to work on for next season.
Well, it's interesting to know, and just going to put this out there, just in case you guys at the Arsehole's head off patent office are interested, but noob be gone. There you go. Back to you, Johnny.
We're here with Steve Walker. Great race, Steve, there in P6, up from 17th position in the reverse grid. Hectic race, though. I'm not sure if you're around the battles, but it was incredible to see you still survived to the finish, 24 seconds away from the lead.
Yeah, it's a pretty good race. Made a couple of mistakes, like race 1. Had a pretty good start. Then going into the hairpin, I'm not sure what lap it was. Probably about lap 5. I got a wheel on the grass under braking, so I had to use the full course variant just to safely get out of the way of everyone else behind me. So that put me a good 5-6 seconds back from the battle I was in with Ben, Palmer and Ash and all that lot. So yeah, had a pretty boring race up until my pit stop, which I pitted quite late. Then that was pretty good, came out in a good position, but then I also got a slow down like the first race again by the chicane. So pretty mediocre, but hey, good result.
Good result indeed, P6. Don't be disappointed. 24.1 seconds away from the lead. Great result. We'll actually go to Matthew Bunn now straight away. Matthew, still in the top 10. And that final lap, though, we know we'll speak to Magic in a second as well. But only 7 tenths in front. Close racing between you two. You started second in race 2. So it's great to see you at least capitalize on a top 10 result.
Yeah, I was really happy with that race, actually. I didn't manage to get any practice in whatsoever. I was too busy watching Game of Thrones last night. But yeah, didn't have a very good start. I decided to try out some drifting on the first corner, spun out, had to go to the pits. But yeah, I managed to get from last back up to 10th. Managed to get that 10th position literally across the line. I think, I'm not sure who it was, but I think he ran out of fuel just across the line. So yeah, I'm happy with that. Second 10th place now. So I'm sort of moving up the grid slowly, getting used to the Kia.
We'll go to Rachel Whiteford. We have Magic Sagovic and Ashley Blake Hood still available for their comments. We know Ashley Blake Hood doesn't have too much to say, but nonetheless, we'll try and get their comments on the race. Both of them finishing in 11th and 12th position.
Well, I'm here with Mashek. Wow, you had a pretty reasonable race today, of course. You started in P6, of course. You didn't fall back quite as much as you might have imagined, so good result?
Yeah, a good result. Especially that I didn't start from P6, I started from the pits.
In that case, that's even more impressive. So we had the wrong number up on our screen. Pit lane start to P11. That is incredibly actually impressive in this field.
Not as much impressive as I just kind of avoided all the carnage. That was the whole point of starting from the pits, because I knew that at this track, in such bad weather, there would be kind of a lot of chaos and carnage and possibly death. So I'd rather not do that.
Incredibly intelligent move from you there, as lap 1 was a little bit on the exciting side.
Not really, more cowardly.
Hey, sometimes cowardly means you get to finish the race, and after all, to finish first, you must first finish. And whilst we're talking in rhymes, I'm just going to switch over now to Ashley Blake Hood. Ashley, you came home today, of course, in P12, and you did make an improvement in this race. Some good moves we saw during that one, avoiding death. How did it go for you?
It was less avoiding death, more being pile driven into a car in front of me and experiencing it. But I
haven't got to that bit yet, but come on.
But no, I always enjoy doing these guest races in the WTCC. They're just different because the class of competition is up there across the entire field. So I just love doing it. Some people need to calm down a bit on the first few laps, I think.
Oh, indeed. And moment of the race for you, Machek?
Race? That would be the last lap when I absolutely like a mug ran out of fuel. That was absolutely so amazing. I couldn't be more chuffed.
It probably means you avoided some sort of crash at the start-finish line, so it probably saved you even more. Ashley, as well, from you, best part of the race other than your untimely death?
Probably getting back up into the top 10 after facing backwards on the track with so much damage I couldn't turn to the right.
Well, gone from touring cars to NASCAR, but you managed to scrape a top half finish out of this one, Johnny?
Great result from both of them, finishing, P11 and P12, respectively, there for Magic Sagovic and Ashley Blake Hood. Another incredible round here, the penultimate round of the Champions of the Future World Touring Car Championship. It's round 7 for season 2. And, well, it's been one heck of a race once again. Join us next week in just 1 week's time for the final round at Sonoma. And, well, I just can't wait to get it underway. Michael Hall pretty much wrapping up the Drivers' Championship. We know CQR Club as well, also taking the Teams' Championship. Great racing from them all. Join us next week. This has been Johnny Simon along with Rachel Whiteford, Cam Walsh, Hugo Luis broadcasting for us today. And we'll see you in 1 week's time. This is RaceSpotTV.